I searched the world, but it couldn't fill me. Man's empty praise and treasures that fade are never enough. Then you came along and put me back together, and every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, nothing is better than you. I'm not afraid to show you my weakness, my failures and flaws. Lord, you've seen them all, and you call me a friend. 'Cause the God of the mountains is the God of the valley. Every desire is now satisfied here in your love. And there's not a place your mercy and grace won't find me again. Oh, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, nothing is better than you. You're the only thing, you're the only thing that matters. You're the only thing that matters. You're the only thing that matters. You turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, nothing is better than you. Sing that again. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing, nothing is better than you. You're the only thing that matters. You're the only thing that matters. You're the only thing that matters. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can.
Hey Lakers, welcome to this week's virtual youth service. Thanks for joining in. Before we even get started, I would get in so much trouble if I didn't give a shout out to my daughter, June. That just sounds weird saying it, but today is her first birthday. It's Friday when I'm recording this. She is 1, and it's been an awesome year. You can see this picture now. Cutest baby that you will ever meet. But happy birthday, June. Glad you are a part of this world and a part of my family. Maybe one day you'll watch this and you'll think your dad was weird, if you don't already think he's weird. But hey guys, I have a cool thing I want to talk to you guys about today. I think something that's really relevant, especially in this kind of weird time that we're in right now. It's so easy to get fixated on what once was. Sometimes that's all we can think about is how it used to be. Maybe you, even in a relationship, you go and you think, man, I wish I could go back to the way it was, 6 months ago, a year ago, or even just obviously in general right now, we're thinking, man, I wish I could go back and go back there, and it was just easier and life was just better, and it wasn't as hard to navigate or tricky or confusing, and life was a little simpler. And I knew what to expect, and right now we're in a place where we really don't know what to expect, and that honestly scares us to death sometimes. But I want us to look at a couple passages, and I want us to focus on the nation of Israel in the book of Exodus and in the book of Numbers. And so I just want you to listen to this reading of Exodus 16, a few verses there, and then again in Exodus 17, another few verses.
The whole Israelite community set out from Elim and came to the desert of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after they had come out of Egypt. In the desert, the whole community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, "If only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt. There we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted. But you have brought us out into this desert to starve this entire assembly to death." The whole Israelite community set out for the desert of Sin, traveling from place to place as the Lord commanded. They camped at Rephidim, but there was no water for the people to drink. So they quarreled with Moses and said, "Give us water to drink." Moses replied, "Why do you quarrel with me? Why do you put the Lord to the test?" But the people were thirsty for water there, and they grumbled against Moses. They said, "Why do you bring us up out of Egypt to make us and our children and livestock die of thirst?"
So in what we just heard, those two passages, both times we finish with the Israelites grumbling against Moses, grumbling against God, and wishing and just almost demanding that they be back in Egypt. Now let's not forget, Egypt for them was slavery. It was 400 years, generation after generation of slavery. But where they were now, even though they had been set free and they were wandering in the wilderness and God was with them, they still wanted to go back. Why? Because it's what they knew. It's what they knew. It's what they were comfortable with. It's what they had been doing for all of their life. It was just easier, simpler. Even though they were in slavery, enslaved, in chains, they still wanted to go back to that because they were afraid of the unknown. This may come as a surprise to you, but in high school, my junior year, I was a 3-sport athlete. I know, you can stop laughing now. But I played soccer, I played tennis, and for my junior year, I also ran track. And I actually have proof of it. You'll see some images now. This was me running at a Leon meet. This was my second meet, and I hadn't run in a lot of meets, didn't know what to expect. And my first meet at Rickards, the James S. Rickards High School, where I went to high school, I actually won the meet. But then I went to the Leon meet where there were a lot more runners and a lot more runners who were faster than me. I think I ended up finishing in the mid-20s or so. Not the best race, but proof I did run. I was a three-sport athlete, crazy as that sounds. But I remember in high school, a couple friends of mine and I, we played soccer and we were looking to get in shape. And so every summer we would go to this running camp at Maclay, and we would join all the Maclay kids in training every morning from about 7 to 8. And the sprinters, the short distance runners, people like myself and my friends, we would stay around the track and run sprint circuits. And a lot of the Maclay long distance runners would go out into the trails and run, a couple miles, run 5, 6, 7, 8 miles, depending on the day. Well, I had been part of the short circuit group, the sprinters. We'd sprint for a while, play some frisbee, some popsicles. It was great. Well, one day I really decided that I wanted to step my game up a little bit. I wanted to go out with the long distance runners and see what it was like. And I think that day they were supposed to run 6 miles or so. And I think the longest I had ever run was maybe 2 or 3 miles at one point. And so I start off with these long distance runners, and my friends are back on the track running sprints, telling me, "Oh, this is gonna be awful. You're gonna fail. What do you think you are? Who do you think you are? You think you're better than us? Blah blah blah." And I get out and I'm running, and all these long distance runners, they're already hundreds of yards ahead of me, and I'm slowly falling behind, and I get to a point where it's just me in the trail, and I've probably ran maybe a mile. And I'm like, what did I get myself into? And in my head, I'm just thinking, man, I've only gone about a mile, and maybe I'll just go back now. I'll throw in the towel. I'll deal with my friends making fun of me and telling me, told you so. And it'll just be easier that way. I got another 5 miles to go. Who knows? It's probably uphill the whole time. I'm probably got to run through mud, and it's probably just going to be miserable. I'm not going to make it. I might as well just throw in the towel now. I might as well just go back to what I know that I can do, what I know that I can accomplish, what I know comfortably I can enjoy. And so I kept running a little bit, and I began thinking, and that idea began to take root, and all of a sudden, I threw the towel. I gave up. I went back. I decided that it was a lot easier and a lot more comfortable to go back to what I knew instead of face the unknown. Face what was in front of me that I really wasn't sure I was capable of. Now, I want to read you this other story. In the book of Numbers, we're still talking about the Israelites. Some time has gone by and they're headed to the promised land. And it says in Numbers chapter 13, listen, the Lord said to Moses, "Send some men to explore the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the Israelites. From each ancestral tribe, send one of its leaders." So God told Moses, gather up someone from each tribe and send them to explore this land of Canaan, which I am giving to them. And so they do that, and they go off, and they begin to explore. And then in chapter 13, verses 25 through 33, here's kind of the report as they come back. It says, at the end of 40 days, they returned from exploring the land. They came back to Moses and Aaron and the whole Israelite community at Kadesh in the desert of Paran. There they reported to them and to the whole assembly and showed them the fruit of the land. They gave Moses this account: "We went into the land to which you sent us, and it does flow with milk and honey. Here is its fruit. But The people who live there are powerful, and the cities are fortified and very large. We even saw descendants of Anak there. The Amalekites live in the Negev. The Hittites, Jebusites, Amorites live in the hill country. And the Canaanites live near the sea along the Jordan. Then Caleb silenced the people before Moses and said, "We should go up and take possession of the land, for we certainly can do it." But the men who had gone up with him said, "We can't attack those people. They are stronger than we are." And they spread among the Israelites a bad report about the land they had explored. They said, "The land we explored devours those living in it, and all the people we saw there are of great size. We saw the Nephilim there. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them." Now see, the Israelites, one of each tribe, had gone to the land of Canaan, and they had seen the goodness that it was. But they had also seen the obstacles that it would take to take that land. And see, for them, like myself, what they knew, what they had, what they were comfortable with, seemed a lot better than what they were going to have to do in order to move forward. In the same way, we look and we see the obstacles in our faith. And we look back and we say, it's just easier. It's just more comfortable. I'd rather just keep doing what I used to do. I'd rather go back to what I know instead of go forward and possibly fail. And so what ends up happening is we stifle our faith. We get paralyzed by the past and overwhelmed by the obstacles in the future. Let me finish reading this passage in Numbers 14, 1 through 9. Here's how the rest of the story goes. It says, "That night, all the members of the community raised their voices and wept aloud. All the Israelites grumbled against Moses and Aaron. And the whole assembly said to them, if only we had died in Egypt or in this wilderness. Why is the Lord bringing us to this land only to let us fall by the sword? Our wives and children will be taken as plunder. Wouldn't it be better for us to go back to Egypt?" And they said to each other, "We should choose a leader and go back to Egypt." Then Moses and Aaron fell face down in front of the whole Israelite assembly gathered there. Joshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, who were among those who had explored the land, tore their clothes and said to the entire Israelite assembly, "The land we passed through and explored is exceedingly good. If the Lord is pleased with us, he will lead us into that land, a land flowing with milk and honey, and will give it to us. Only do not rebel against the Lord, and do not be afraid of the people of the land, because we will devour them. Their protection is gone, but the Lord is with us. Do not be afraid of them." Oswald Chambers, he said this, "Many people have turned back because they are afraid to look at things from God's perspective. The greatest spiritual crisis comes when a person has to move a little farther on in his faith than the beliefs he has already accepted." See, the 10 spies, the ones that weren't Joshua and Caleb, they saw the land and all of its glory, but they let the fear of the battle overwhelm them. The rest of the Israelites, they did not see the land, they didn't go, but they let the power of the past and the fear of others overwhelm them. Joshua and Caleb knew what was in the past, and they saw the obstacles that were in the future, but they chose faith over fear. They chose freedom over slavery. They chose the promised land over the promises of the world. See, it was an easy decision for them because they had a secret weapon. I mean, isn't that the struggle every day? Choose what I know, what I'm comfortable with, what I selfishly want, or choose God. Every time we're confronted with a decision, we are put at a crossroads. Fear or faith? Am I going to make a decision out of fear of what might happen and what I might lose? Or are we going to make the decision in faith, knowing that God is with us? You see, we forget in Numbers 13, God said, go to the land that I am giving you. It was theirs. God had already opened the door. He had already gone before. They just had to believe. They just had to have the faith to take that step. But no, they chose fear. They chose the past. They wanted to go back to Egypt again and again and again because it was easier. But easier doesn't help us grow, doesn't help us mature. It doesn't help us experience the wonders that God has for you and I. Remember what Oswald Chambers said. Many people have turned back because they are afraid to look at things from God's perspective. See, the Israelites failed to enter the promised land. And for that generation, they were going to miss out on it because they chose fear over faith. They chose their own perspective over God's perspective. And for some of you listening to this right now, you've missed out on what God has because you've chose your perspective over God's. You've chose to look through your own lens instead of through the Bible. And you're missing out. And I don't mean that in a condemning way. I just simply mean you are missing out. You and I are missing out on some really amazing things that God is doing and wants to do through us right now, in this moment. See, that was the last time I ever gave up on a long distance run. But that day I missed out on something. I missed out on an opportunity to grow because I would rather go back in fear than continue to run in faith. And every other day that summer, I decided to commit to the run. And man, did I get faster. And I remember by the end of that summer, my friends decided to join me on those long distance runs, and they couldn't even come close to keeping up with me. And I remember it paying dividends in the next couple of years of playing soccer, and I was able to play the whole game and outrun people. But I missed out that first day because I chose fear over faith. And so what right now do you need to take a look at from God's perspective instead of your own? What are you paralyzed in fear with? Today, I want you to choose faith over fear. As you enter into a time of discussion with your group, with the people sitting around you, be honest, be vulnerable. Where are you stuck at? What are you afraid of? And what is God calling you to? And what might you be missing out on? Choose fear and you'll miss out. Choose faith and you'll experience God in ways that you have never, ever experienced before. Lakers, thanks for joining in. Let me pray for you and then we'll move on. Father God, I thank you. Lord, I thank you for your word. I thank you for your promises. I thank you for the fact that, God, you have gone before us and prepared a way. Father, I pray right now in each of us that is listening, God, that you would speak truth over the lies. God, you would speak courage, confidence over fear. And God, that we would be able to leave this time today, God, ready to take the next step, ready to go on the next run. God, ready to do the thing that we've been putting off because we've been paralyzed in fear. Father, I praise you and I thank you. In your son's name we pray. Amen.